You've been there, the all-night study session, the cramming. You walk into that exam, pour every last fact onto the paper, and walk out feeling like a genius. You aced it. The feeling is incredible. You conquered the mountain of information. But then, just a couple of days later, a friend asks you a simple question about that very same topic, and you get nothing, a complete blank. It's like the information was written in the sand and the tide just came in. What if I told you this isn't a personal failure? It's not that you're bad at studying. This is your brain working exactly as it was designed to. In fact, scientists have known about this for over 100 years. It has a name, and by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why your brain does this, but you'll know exactly how to stop it from happening. Meet the memory thief, the forgetting curve. To understand this phenomenon, we need to travel back to the 1880s. We meet a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus. Ebbinghaus was obsessed with a simple question: how does our memory fade over time? He decided to experiment on the most reliable subject he could find, himself. For years, he memorized lists of nonsense syllables, things like WID, ZOF, and KAF. He did this so his prior knowledge of real words wouldn't interfere. Then, he tested himself to see how many he could remember after different periods. What he discovered was so profound, it's still taught in every psychology class today. He plotted his findings on a graph. This is the forgetting curve, and it is brutal. Ebbinghaus found that if you don't reinforce a new memory, you lose 50 to 70% of it in the first 24 hours. After 2 days, you're lucky if you've held on to 10 to 20%. Think about that. The vast majority of that all-night study session, gone. But why? Your brain is a survival machine, not a hard drive. It gets bombarded with millions of bits of information every single day. Imagine if you remembered what you ate for lunch every day for the last 10 years. Your mind would be cluttered with useless data, making it hard to find the important stuff. So your brain has a ruthless filtering system. If you don't signal that a piece of information is important, it assumes it's junk mail and tosses it out. Cramming is a weak signal. It tells the brain to hold something temporarily, and then delete. From faint path to memory superhighway. So how do we send the right signal? We need to understand how a memory is actually built. Imagine learning something new is like walking through a tall field of grass for the first time. You leave behind a faint, barely visible path. That's a new, weak neural connection in your brain. If you don't walk that path again, the grass will quickly grow back, and the path will disappear. This is forgetting. Cramming is like running down that path once, very frantically, and hoping it's still there a week later. It won't be. The secret is you have to walk the path again and again. This process is called memory consolidation. You are strengthening the neural pathway, making it more permanent. This paving process doesn't just happen when you study. Much of it happens automatically when you get a good night's sleep. Every time you revisit the information, you are paving that road, turning it into a superhighway. The mistake 90% of us make is that we think learning is a one-time event. But the science is clear. Learning is a process, not an event. The real learning happens when you pull that information back out of your brain. Hacking the forgetting curve. Okay, so we need to revisit information, but how and when? Here are 3 powerful techniques that work together to completely flatten that forgetting curve. First, spaced repetition. This is the when. Instead of cramming for 8 hours, study for 1 hour, then stop. The next day, review that same material for just 15 minutes. A few days later, review it for 5 minutes. Then a week later, for just 2 minutes. You are reviewing at increasing intervals, just as your brain is about to delete the information. Second, the real game changer, active recall. This is the how. Most of us review by passively rereading notes. This is like watching a video of someone working out and hoping you'll get stronger. Active recall means forcing your brain to retrieve the information without help. Use flashcards, cover your notes and explain a concept out loud. Or try the Feynman technique. Pretend you have to teach the concept to a child. This struggle to retrieve and explain is the mental equivalent of lifting a weight. That effort is what builds the memory superhighway. Make it stick, the power of connection. And here is the third crucial technique. Elaboration. This is about making information meaningful. Our brains don't remember isolated random facts very well. They are designed to remember things that are connected to what we already know. Think of your brain as a giant web. A new fact is a lonely strand, easy to break. But when you connect that new fact to other strands, you build a strong, resilient network. So, when you learn something new, don't just memorize it. Ask yourself, what does this remind me of? When learning about the heart's chambers, compare it to a 4-room house with special doors and plumbing. When studying a historical event, connect it to a movie you've seen or a story you already know. By creating these analogies and connections, you give your brain more pathways to find the memory later. Fuel your brain, the physical foundation. Finally, remember these techniques are only as powerful as the brain using them. You have to create the right conditions for learning to even happen. This starts with sleep. Pulling an all-nighter is the worst thing you can do for memory, because sleep is when your brain files away information for the long term. No sleep means no filing. It's that simple. Next is exercise. You don't need to run a marathon. Even a 15-minute walk before studying increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain, sharpening your focus. And lastly, eliminate distractions. When your phone is buzzing next to you, you are forcing your brain to multitask. And multitasking is a myth. You are just switching your attention back and forth very quickly. This creates weak, fragmented memories. Give your brain the fuel and the focus it needs to do its job. Stop cramming, start learning. So the reason we forget isn't a flaw. It's a feature of our brain's brilliant efficiency. The frantic, last-minute cramming session works against the very nature of how we're built to learn. But the good news is, you now have the complete toolkit. It's not just about one magic trick. It's about combining smart techniques with a healthy brain. Use spaced repetition to review at the perfect time. Use active recall to make those review sessions powerful. Use elaboration to connect new knowledge to what you already understand. And support it all with good sleep, a little movement, and a focused environment. You don't need to study more. You just need to study smarter. By working with your brain instead of against it, you can turn it from a leaky sieve into a memory fortress. What's the one subject you struggle to remember things for? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this useful, give it a like and subscribe for more tips on learning how to learn. Now go space out your studying.